Welcome back. It is now day 16 of working on my house every single day until I finish all of my home renovations slash projects. And right now we're working on wrapping a basement stanchion pole just to give it a more finished look. And yesterday I got this box post glued up that's going to go around it. I've got just one of the sides is glued on this side here. This side is actually just there to kind of clamp everything together. So I'll be able to take this side off, slide it around that post, which you'll see later in this video when I install it. But first, before I get into anything else, I'm going to pop off all these clamps and then just give everything a good sanding with 120 on the random orbit. And then I'll be able to take this down into the basement and get it installed, which is going to be interesting this is all held together with a bunch of dominoes, and getting this clamped around that post while it's vertical is going to be really interesting. And I think I'm just going to do like a continuous shot of me trying to clamp this up because I think it's going to be a bit of a struggle. So I will be sharing that in a little bit. But first, clamps off, good sand, and then we'll go down to the basement. So the first thing I need to do before sanding all of this is get there's some glue squeeze out. Just a little bit. I don't like to mess with too much squeeze out, and I definitely didn't want to on this one. So it's pretty minimal, and I tried to clean it up the best I could before it all dried, but there's still some that was on the underside. But my favorite way to do that is with this, just a paint scraper. Honestly, it's by far the easiest way to just take off this dried glue. So just going to hit it with this, and then I'll go right into I'm just going to sand it with 120, and I'll leave it at that. And then on to the next step. All right, so I've got everything sanded now, and then at the end of that clip you saw that I also added a tiny little roundover, a little 1/16 inch roundover with the router, and then hit that just with some sandpaper, just to give it, people are going to be grabbing and holding on to this thing a lot, so just want it to have a nice smooth edge, but not like a crazy roundover or anything like that. So now all I have to do, I have this side up. This side is not glued, but I'm sure it's going to be kind of tough to get off because there are a lot of dominoes in this. But I'm going to pop this off, and then I can basically carry the pieces down into the basement and just basically slide on the one piece, probably nail that in a little bit, and then I'll have to do the glue up vertically, which is going to be pretty interesting to do, and then use probably a ton of clamps to clamp this down and then let that sit basically overnight. So that might be the only thing I can really do today, besides maybe start milling up. I'm going to be doing some trim pieces around the bottom and the top, so I might start milling that up so that I can cut that up tomorrow and basically finish this thing. So let me first try to get this thing apart, and then we'll go down into the basement. So I've got the post slid into place now. Looks really good. Got it all leveled and then tacked in a few 16 gauge brad nails, one at the top here, one at the bottom on this side, and then one down here just to keep it level, and then make sure that I can, obviously, I'm going to need to put dominoes in all of these and then push on that face piece here, which should hopefully go all right. So just got to put those in and then clamp on the face and then leave that probably overnight to dry. But if you didn't watch yesterday's video, I've got a sport on the bottom, sport at the top, kind of Frankenstein-y to get this. This post was not perfectly plumb, so kind of had to shim this out at the tops. Go watch yesterday's video if you want to see how I did that, but it's in. It is very plumb. Like I said earlier, I'm going to do some trim around the top and the bottom to kind of finish it all off, and should look really good. So I'm going to move on to this scary part where I now need to be able to basically glue this whole thing up vertically. So that should be pretty interesting. Hopefully it goes okay. The one thing that I did do to make it a little bit easier is on every domino, I don't know if you'll be able to see or not, I sanded the end so that it might slide in a little bit easier, because I just don't want to, fight it. These things go in pretty tight, so I sanded them down a little bit just to make putting on that cap piece a little bit easier. So should be good. All right, that went really, really great, actually. Everything lined up perfectly and everything went together. Pretty easy. I think I could have used a little more glue in there, but I think it'll be fine. I'm still getting some squeeze out. It's not everywhere. I mean, if I had more clamps, I might get a little more, but I'm getting plenty. So I'll go ahead and clean that up. But super happy with how easily that went together. The person, whoever is going to tear this down, is going to have a not fun time, but it is looking good. Really happy. And something I didn't mention is why I was using dominoes, and that's so I don't have any fasteners, any nails or anything that are going to be showing. And that's a big reason that I did that, just for that alignment, so I could get everything glued up and not have to use any nails and fill nail holes. So now it just looks nice and clean. But I think that is where I'm going to call it a day. I could go, start making the trim pieces for the top and bottom, but it's getting pretty late and I don't feel like it. So that is going to be it for today. Once this dries up, I'll put in a few more nails along the top and bottom just to really hold it in place. Maybe some screws as well. But that is it for today. If you want to see the rest of this build, keep following along. Tomorrow and probably the day after tomorrow will probably be trim, maybe finish, probably just the trim, and then I'll put finish on it the next day to match that, and then this whole area will be done. So hope you enjoyed that. I will see you tomorrow.